this is Rosa Kelly and I'm here with a new mini album tutorial for JS Hobbies and Crafts. Today we're going to be working with the beautiful Garden Goddess collection from Graphic 45, and as you can see, the collection's amazing. I'm also going to be using some Prima flowers, different laces, trims, these beautiful Heartfelt Creations Petit pocket accents dies. I'm going to be using some hooks and eyes for my closure. I have everything linked on the description box below, and also I do have a whole video where I show everything in more detail, so I'm going to link that video as well, so if you guys want to take a look at the whole collection. But today let's just get started with the tutorial. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the chipboard, and I'm going to cut this at 6.5 by 8. Okay, so 6.5, and I love how smooth this chipboard is, and it cuts really good as well. So now I'm gonna cut this by 8. So 6.5 by 8, and then I'm going to cut this one more time at 8 inches by 3 inches, which is going to be our spine. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this at 3. Turn this around and cut this one more time. Here we go. So now we have the 3 pieces that we need. I'm going to use my Tyvek to bind them together. So this is half of a Tyvek envelope, so I'm just going to separate them. Gonna cut this part off. There you go. And then I'm going to open this up. I only need one of these sides, so I'm gonna split this up. And you can also find this Tyvek at JS Hobbies and Crafts. You'll find everything you need there. So I'm going to use my Scor-tape to put this together. So I'm adding Scor-tape all over the spine. Just gonna do it like so. Oops. And maybe one more piece here. Just like that. And then we're gonna go ahead and place these down on the center. I'm gonna take off the tape. So now I took off all the tape, and I'm just gonna place this right on the center here, just like that. Now I'm going to add some Scor-tape on this side of the Tyvek as well, and we want to make sure that you leave at least an 1/8 of an inch space between these 2 pieces. So I'm just gonna put my tape right around the 1/8 spacing, and just put some tape. I'm gonna put 3 pieces of tape here, just like that. And then of course I'm gonna do the same on this other side. Make sure you leave a little bit of space. So I'm gonna do 2 and 1 more. So I'm going to make sure to press this down really good, just like so. And now I'm gonna start peeling off the tape on one side. 1, 2, 3. And I'm gonna place one of the chipboard covers. Make sure these are aligned to the spine, and you leave your little spacing in between. Okay, now for this remaining over here, I'm going to also tape it. Okay, sometimes I like to trim it, but I think just for extra support, I'm going to wrap it around. So I'm going to put my tape on the top as well, and now I'm just using the 1/4 inch, but you can definitely use your 3/8 as well. Okay, so now press this hard, and let's remove the tape like this, and then we're gonna wrap this around like so. Okay, and now I'm gonna turn this around and do it again. Take off this tape and this tape as well. So now we have the base binding. So what I love about the Tyvek is that this is not going to go anywhere. It's really strong, really secure, but I do want to wrap it around with cardstock. I'm going to use 3 pieces of the 65-pound cardstock, and I'm going to trim one of them at 4.5. Okay, so we just need a smaller piece, and now I'm going to join these 3 pieces together. So I'm going to put this on the side for now. See if I can put it over there. And so you want to grab your smaller Scor-tape, the 1/4 inch, and just join them together. So I'm going to join these 2 like so. Oops. And don't put the smaller one on the center because this won't be big enough to wrap around the whole thing, and then it might split up. So just use the 2 large ones first, and then we can join the smaller one. So I'm gonna put another piece of my 1/4 inch tape here like that, and join this other one. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is I'm going to place the whole thing right over here. So I'm going to just be using my art glitter glue for this step. So I'm going to turn this around and just add glue everywhere. Okay, so I have glue everywhere, and now I'm going to turn this around and just place it on the center. And then I'm just gonna make sure that this glue is distributed equally everywhere. I'm gonna turn this to the other side and just do the same to avoid any air bubbles. All right, and now I'm gonna start bending my paper like that. So you wanna just bend first to make sure that you got it on the right place, and you're gonna give it a crease like that. Okay, and I'm gonna do the same for all sides. All right, so I have all 4 sides bent, and then I'm going to grab my scissors and just cut a little angle on the corner like so. And you want to make sure you don't go right against the chipboard. Now the good thing is the chipboard, it's black, so even if we do, let's say, cut a little bit into the chipboard, it will still show just black. So I think that's awesome. I love this chipboard. So now I'm going to just continue here with these 4 corners. Ta-da! All the tape. How quick is that, right? The power of pausing the recording. So what I did is I used the 3/8 of an inch tape. So I put 2 stripes on top and bottom, and then I did 3 on the sides. So now, since we already bended this ahead, we already know exactly where it's going to sit. So there's no need to stress about, because we did that extra step at the beginning. So now we are going to take off all of the tape. As you can see, I'm starting on the long parts, just like that. Make sure you don't get any air. And now, before you do the sides, make sure you tack these little pointy corners in on the sides. And now we can take off this tape as well. 1, 2, 3, and we can seal these. Again, make sure you press everything really good, and let's do the same on this other side. Okay, so now we're going to score along the gap here where we're gonna bend this page. So I'm just gonna use this tool here, and then we're just gonna bend one side. sure you don't get any air bubbles in there. And the other side. And there you go. Now we have the base cover. Now let's work on the hinge system. I'm going to use a piece of regular 65-pound cardstock. I'm going to trim it at 7 inches. So this is going to measure 7 by 11. And I'm going to score at 1.5 first. And then I'm going to score every 3/4 inch. So I'm going to score at 2 1/4, 3, 3 3/4, 4 1/2, 5 1/4, 6, 6 3/4, 7 1/2. Then I'm gonna do 8 1/4, and I'm going to score at 9, and at 9 3/4. Okay, so I'm going to join these together. I'm gonna start with the first 2 score lines and kind of pinch this up like this and put them together. Then I'm gonna skip and do the next 2, and skip and do the next 2, just like that, and skip and do the next 2. Here we go. So then I'm going to make sure that I fold this really, really good. Let me take this out. Okay. So let's make sure that we fold this really good on both sides. Like so. And like so. Alright, so now I'm gonna go on the back, open this whole thing up again, and use my 3/8 of an inch Scor-tape, and we're just gonna place this on one of the sides of these little V's that we made. Let's see, so these are your hinges. So I'm gonna place one down, then I'm gonna skip 2, place another one, skip 2, press one more in, and skip 2, and put this one down there. All right, and now all we're gonna do is just take off these tapes and join them together again. So make sure you press really good, and same thing here. One more down. Whoops. Here we go. Like that, and that last one. And you guys probably already know this step. But okay, so now let's turn this around, and then we're gonna stand up our hinges, and there we go. Now we have 4 hinges for our album. And now what I'm gonna do is add the tape. Oops. I'm gonna add the tape on both sides of the hinge, closest to the outside of the edge. So I'm gonna start with this one. I'm gonna turn this around and do the other side, just like so. And then I'm gonna do the same to all of these. Okay, so now I have tape on each one of my hinges on both sides. Now I'm gonna turn this around, and I'm gonna add tape all on the back as well. Okay, so now I have my tape, and make sure it's down really good. And now we're gonna go back to our little binding, and we are gonna place this down. Now let's make sure we stand up all of our hinges like so we can see exactly where the middle is. You want to make sure that your hinges are exactly on the middle in between these 2 score lines on the top. So now that I have it where I want it, well, first I'm going to start by taking off just some of the tape here. I'm not gonna take them all out yet. If you are new to this step, I suggest you use glue so you can adjust a little bit, because once you put the tape down, it's really hard to adjust. So again, let's make sure our hinges are perpendicular to the bottom. These need to be center on the spine, and then also center up and down. And now that we know where we're gonna put this, we can press this side, and then I can go ahead and take off just the remaining of this tape. Do this, take all these out. Oops. One more. Oops, super sticky. Okay, so let's do this one. Okay, and now we're just gonna press this down again, just like so. All right, so now we're gonna grab a ruler, any straight edge that you have, and our little score tool, and we're just gonna line up the two score lines on the top and bottom for the spine, and we're just gonna give it a little score, just like that, just a soft score. Okay, and now we're gonna go ahead and bend this, and let's do the same on this other side. Find the lines, just give it a little score. Don't press too hard, you don't want to make a hole on that paper, and then go ahead and bend. Okay, so now we have our binding and our hinges put together. Let's work on the pages. So for my pages, I'm gonna use the 12 by 12 cardstock. This is an 85-pound weight, and I'm going to trim this at 8 inches. So this piece is gonna measure 12 by 8, and I'm gonna do the same to 4 pieces. I'm going to score at 6 inches along the 12-inch side, and then I'm gonna turn this around, and I am going to score at half an inch on the 8-inch side. Okay, so just like that. So I'm gonna do the same to all of these pages. So then we're just gonna trim this half an inch side up until the 6-inch line here, the score line. So I'm just gonna place this on my paper trimmer, and from 6 inches I'm trimming this out, and then I'm just gonna grab my scissors and just cut this like a little V like that, and then we are gonna fold this along the score lines here and here as well, and I'm going to add some of my tape just like this, and then all we do is take off the tape and close this page, and just like that. So now we have the first page, and then we do the same to all the other 3. So let's start with page 1. Now for the pages, I'm going to be using the 65-pound cardstock, the 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to be using this beautiful Heartfelt Creations die, and oh my goodness, I love it. So I'm gonna start with 2 pieces of cardstock. I'm gonna trim the first one at 6 inches by 7. There we go. And the second one is going to be 6 inches by 4. So here we go. You don't need to do anything to the second one. So 6 by 7 and 6 by 4. Yes, perfect. So I'm gonna save this one actually, and then I'm going to score. So along the 7 inches, I'm going to score at 1/2 inch and 3/4. Okay, so we're gonna do 1/2 and then 1/4 after that. And we're gonna bend along those 2 score lines, 1 and 2, and then I'll show you in a minute how we're gonna use our die. The second piece along the 4-inch side, we're going to do the same. We're gonna score at 1/2 and at 1/4. Okay, so you have 1/2 and 3/4, and this little 1/4 inch that we have, it's going to be the gusset for this first page. Okay, so now we're going to add the double-sided tape on this little first flap. So I'm gonna do that one on this one and on this one as well. So I'm gonna be using this beautiful edge, which I actually pre-cut already. Look how beautiful and delicate this die is. So I'm gonna be using this one on the top, on top of our design paper. So to prepare, I'm gonna use the matching die, the one, because this comes with little, like it's really 2 sets that you have in here. So this little one matches with the one that I'm using. So I'm gonna grab it and just place it on the top flap like so, and then I'm gonna use some washi tape to secure this in place so it doesn't move, just like so. And this die measures exactly 6 inches, and this is why I wanted to make my page construction right at 6 inches as well. I'm going to pass this through my die cutter over here, and then when we take this out, take off this washi, but see how beautiful it looks. So then we will do the design paper, and we're gonna do, you can see it now, but then this will go right on top over here. So then I'm going to cut 2 pieces of the design paper. This measures 5 3/4 by 6, and what we're gonna do is cut another beautiful edge here on the bottom using the same die, and I'm gonna do the same for both of these pages. So I have the 2 pieces that I passed through my cuddle back machine. So now I'm gonna do one of them here on the front, and I'd rather do all of this before I attach the page to the album. It's just a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to place this one right on top, just like that. And then I'm gonna place the beautiful border one, which is this one here. And this one you just run by itself on a piece of black cardstock, just like so. So then I'm gonna add my glue around the border, just like this. It's such a delicate piece, so pretty, and it cuts really smooth too, so really fun to do. Okay, so I'm just gonna put glue on the sides, and I'm just gonna align the bubble here with the bottom one, just like this. Here we go. Doesn't that just look pretty? I love it. Okay, so now on the back, I'm going to use my magnets. I'm going to place one right over here, and for my magnets I always like to use tape. So I'm gonna put a little tape here like so. So then I'm just gonna glue this one on the back and cover the magnet. So let's make sure to center this bubble, and you want to raise it up a little bit so you can get the black little border around. Here we go. Okay, So now we have our flap on the top. So I'm gonna grab my first page. Now remember that your opening always have to be on the left side. So now I'm gonna hold this flat, even though we have the 1/4 inch here. I'm just gonna fold this flat here so it's easier to put in the page. Okay, so I'm gonna line up the top, and then I'm going to press here on this side, the sticky side, and then I'm gonna take off the rest of the tape. Now we're gonna make sure that you put this perpendicular again, and I'm gonna open that up and do the one on the back or the bottom. So then I'm gonna peel off again just a bit of the tape. I'm gonna lay this flat. Now I did already cover the inside, but the front it's not covered yet because we have to add the magnet first. So I'm just gonna press this flat down like so. Okay, now make sure you stand up your little gusset that we put together here. We have a little 1/4 inch gusset. I'm gonna grab another magnet and just put it up in there, and then I'm gonna use a piece of tape with the sticky side up, place my magnet back in place. Now when you close this, make sure these 2 pages are standing with the gusset perpendicular to the page, like this. Okay, and then we're gonna hold here like so. All right, make sure it's still perpendicular, and now we can press down here, open that up, take off this tape now, and we can go ahead and add our design paper. There we go. Just like that. And the reason why I'm adding a 1/4 inch gusset here is because we're gonna build a waterfall on this page. Now before I do that, I'm going to cover this black cardstock with design paper. This piece measures 5 3/4 by 7 1/4, and I'm just gonna add my glue and place this down here, just like so. For the waterfall, I'm going to use 2 pieces of cardstock, and I'm going to cut these at 4 1/4 by 4 3/4. So I'm gonna do 2, 4, here we go, 6 and 8 pieces. Okay, so then I'm gonna score 1/2 inch along the 4 3/4 inch side. So let me grab my scoreboard, and here we go. So I'm going to score 1/2 inch here, and I'm gonna do the same for all these pieces. So now I'm just gonna fold along the score line like this, and we are gonna start building our waterfall. I'm just gonna use glue for this step. So let me go back to my page here, and I'm going to start right here building my waterfall. So I'm just gonna use the glue and place this on the center here, just right there. Okay, now we're gonna open this flap and put the next one down like this. So I placed 4 so far, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm gonna place 1, and I actually cut out the flap on this one. This is just a piece of 4 1/4 by 4 1/4, And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do like a combo waterfall slash booklet. So I'm going to place this piece down all the way, and then I'm going to use the other 3 pieces that we have, add glue on my flap like this, and now I'm going to place the flap on the left side right on top of the last piece, like so. And I'm gonna do the same on these 2 other ones. So this one I'm gonna place right on top, like so. And then I have one more, place again right on top. Okay, so now this little waterfall, as you can see, once you flip your pages, then you get to the bottom and you have a little booklet as well. Okay, so then we can go ahead and cover that with design paper, or you can leave it black to just add pictures. So I'm gonna leave mine black for now, and let's move on to the back of this page. So I'm gonna cut a piece of 4 1/4 by 7. Okay, and then I'm going to cut a piece of 4 3/4 by 6. Okay, so I have these 2 pieces. Then I'm going to score the first piece 4 1/4 by 7. So we're gonna score 1/2 inch along the 7-inch side, and we're gonna score at 6 1/2. Okay, so 1/2 inch on each side. We're gonna fold along the score lines, just like so. And now the second piece, I'm just going to score along the 4 3/4 inch side at 1/2 inch. Oops. Here we go. Just like so. And again, I'm gonna fold along the score line. Now this piece is going to go on top of this other one. So I'm going to use my glue again. You can definitely use your tape if you prefer. So now I'm just gonna line these 2 up on the top, just like so. Okay, so now we have a flap, and we also have a belly band. So I'm gonna use these 2 flaps on the side to add my page down here, and I'm gonna put it up in the center. So I'm gonna add my glue on these flaps. So I'm gonna start with 1. Make sure your opening is up to the top. So I'm just going to place one side. I'm kind of going on the center, and then I'm going to do the other flap. Just like so. Okay, here we go. And now for this page, I'm going to use the 4x6 cards. So I'm going to cut one of these ones. Now this little card, I'm actually gonna cut at 4 by 5 3/4. So I'm gonna reduce the size a little bit. So this over here, I'm gonna cut at 5 3/4, which is right around here. And I'm gonna place it right on top. Here we go. just like so. So then I'm gonna add a magnet on this flap, and this magnet just so happens to match up with that magnet, which is good. Usually when the magnets match up, then they just get stronger. So I like that. And then I'm gonna place another magnet and just throw this one on the top. Okay, so now we're just gonna cover this with the paper. Remember that all the page papers, the full page papers, are gonna measure 5 3/4 by 7 1/4. So I'm gonna insert this one behind my little waterfall. Sorry, belly band. And I'm just gonna add glue right here. Okay. And right here. And I do it like this because if I add glue before I pass the paper through, I make a big mess. So I think this is the best way to do that. Okay, so here we go. And now I just need to cover the inside. So this is page 2 already. Then we're gonna make some photo mats to go on the back. So we're gonna continue on part 2. I hope that you guys are enjoying the tutorials so far. Please visit JS Hobbies and Crafts to get all the supplies that you need to make this album. And I wanna thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.